Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is the age of the comeback. I am your host with the most, Brandon, and I know, it's been 5 weeks. Okay, I know, it's been 5 weeks. Okay, do not beat me up. I've been busy. I'm sorry. However, this episode ties in directly to the latency and just the catalysts that has happened within the past 5 weeks that I have not been present with you, my beautiful audience. So, with that being said, my sincere apologies. However, we're going to jump right into this thing, okay? We're going to bounce back. Yep. It's the age of the comeback, right? And I have a special guest today. Woo!
Hey, what's up? My name is Jessahn Abernathy, but I also go by Jalopy Bungus. It's my artist name, content creation name, all that good stuff.
All right. That's awesome. You want to share some of your anime stuff? Or?
Oh yeah, like I got a TikTok page where I just talk about anime. You know what I'm saying? So you can look that up on TikTok. Just search Jalopy Bungus, and then I have another page where I talk about hip hop, trending topics, all that other stuff, and that's Jalopy Bungus music. You know what I mean? So 2 different content creator pages. I got a YouTube as well under Jalopy Bungus. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's awesome, man. Hey, and he does workshops. He does social media workshops, okay? Yeah. So he's the guy, okay? Yeah. All of his follow information is going to be produced within the comments section of this video. Yeah. So, just check it out, all right? Yeah. However, let's jump straight into this thing, okay? Now, remember what I was saying about this episode title was a direct reflection of, just the ghosting for the past 5 weeks. And the episode title is Out of Integrity and Asking for Support. Again, that's being out of integrity and asking for support. Now, let me ask you a question, guys. Let me ask you a question. What does that mean to you, being out of integrity? What does that mean? Also, asking for support? What does that mean to you? That's a question for you to answer yourself. Mm-hmm. What is that in your experience? Now, who is this episode for? Are you an individual that has been consistent nonstop with the goals and the missions and the events and the vision that you created for yourself or working towards creating for yourself? Have you been consistent with that? And then a event or a sequence of events totally becomes a downward spiral to where you're having a trouble bouncing back. This episode is for you.
And I think also if you're a person who is consistent in creating the goal, even visualizing it, putting it on paper, putting it on, whatever. But the second you get into it or you achieve it, you start to feel like, okay, now I can take a step back, or now I can knock off a day of my routine, or now I can take a break. I think this episode's for you too.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jessahn. Yeah, man. So with that being said, we're going to jump straight into our discussion here. All right, guys? So first off, I want to speak about being out of integrity and just what I've been going through these past 5 weeks. And It's been a lot, man. It's been a lot. So I'm going to use these two words interchangeably, or this phrase and then this word interchangeably, because they mean the same thing. Out of integrity and incongruency. Mm-hmm. Just being transparent with you, my audience, and being transparent with you, Jessahn. Okay?
Right.
So, this past 5 weeks has been rough, man.
Right.
It's been rough. It's, first off, I've just been out of integrity with the episodes. I was in leadership as well. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Mentoring teams. It was a lot, man. Also working 50 to 60 hours a week. Being a father too, is just like, there's so much. And also like being present with my lady too. Like, it was so much to weigh, man.
Balance,
yeah, it was so much to balance. And here's the thing, right? We can have it all, right? We can have it all, man. We can have it all. It's just, I started to think, I just started to think a lot about things, man. And when it became too much, like, I didn't have like an outlet of support, right? Like, that integrity with everything also became such it almost gave me a reason to find an excuse for me to get out of integrity. You see? So being so consistent with everything, I was like, fuck, man. I didn't have another break.
Right.
Yeah. So now it's a couple weeks back. Now it's Cynthia's first weekend, and I'm not blaming. Look, I'm responsible, right?
Yeah.
I'm responsible. Like, I'm not pointing fingers. No way, right? Mm-hmm. However, it was Cynthia's first weekend, Wednesday and Thursday, and I used that as my own personal excuse for me to go on a 2-week rampage of relapsing on alcohol. Okay? And when I relapsed on alcohol, and even before that, like, I had small drinks here and there, but I'm talking about when I relapsed on alcohol, I drink a whole tequila bottle by myself. And I get so fucked up that, like, I'll order out some food.
Right.
So you're looking at like at $150, $200 in a night, boom.
Yeah.
And just think about that for like, I don't know, fucking 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
hella crazy.
And I was just like, I don't know what happened, man. I don't know what happened. And it's just crazy because, like, even walking into this episode, I didn't even know how to even approach this topic. And now it's just like the floodgates are open, and it's just like, I didn't, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I just, like, that's what happened for the past, like, it happened for like 3 weeks, the rampage. And then for the past 2 weeks, I've been talking to myself, man, because that being out of integrity like that, it makes you start questioning a lot of things about yourself, man.
Of course.
Like, within that 3 weeks, I put on like 13 or 17 pounds, and like it brought like a certain amount of shame to myself. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want people to know that I fucked up that bad. Especially when, like, I'm putting up all these Facebook videos of me working out and stuff like that.
Right.
That's the other end of it, right? Like, that's the other end of it, But obviously, like, everybody's life is not going to be perfect, Like, we all have these moments.
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where we forget, like, how human we really are. Like, you put a lot of time into self-improvement and, like, stuff like that. And we start to try to hold ourselves to this, like, impossible standard of, like, we're just, now we have the tools, we got to figure it out. Like, there's no excuse. Yeah. But it's like, nah, man, like, when you get into the real world and you see, and I want to say the real world because but when you get into the world and the world's way is much different than the world we create in those rooms.
Yeah.
So it's like when you get into the real world and you see things and you hear things and you start talking to your old friends and the people, like these can all be inspiring in that way, like influential in that way, where now you're enticed to go back to certain habits and shit like that.
Yeah.
And I think, like, yeah, when we mess up, because I've messed up too. Like, especially, I got my place, and I kept telling myself, like, like I'm gonna just right here, right now, get everything set up. Like, I'm not gonna wait, boom, boom. But I've been waiting, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? I really been sitting, just waiting. Like, I'm slowly doing it. I finally went to the stores the other day, but it's like, before that, I was in the house for like a week. Like, not, there was times where I wasn't even there. There was times where I would still go stay at my homie's house.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Just like. So but in my mind, I know that I'm out of integrity when I'm moving in that way. When I declare something and I'm finding ways not to do it. Like, but sometimes the rut takes a couple days. Sometimes it doesn't. It's just about catching yourself as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and no, I really relate. You know what I'm saying? Even with I say this.
whatever you want to, bro.
I would say I didn't smoke marijuana for like 3 months, and then I remember all that shit that I went through. You know what I'm saying, to get the place and shit. And I got the place. I was like excited. I was like, you know what? Fucking hit the joint real quick, And now I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like, now I'm back in the habit of doing it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but I'm, giving myself way more grace than I would have in the past. But it's still like, I feel like we all,
I feel like it's the thoughts that come behind it too, right?
Fuck
yeah, because when it's one thing to give yourself grace, right? And that's a skill set that you learn over a lot of things, letting go of looking good over time, you know what I mean? Like the ability to take risks, find out where the ability to not take risks came from, just a lot of self-reflection. However, like in that specific period of relapse, like the questions that I know that will connect to you and then also to my audience here is, from 3 weeks of rampage of just self-abuse on the body, okay, and just me being out of integrity at work, me being, I'm just not present for work, just not present with my family, just, it was just a very hellacious 3 weeks. The thoughts that then ensued after that was, am I a good dad?
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Am I a good dad? Ah, man, the waterworks are about to come, man.
Let it happen.
Yeah, am I a good dad? I got this substantial raise. I'm making like good money now, and I always was, but like now it's like I reached a number where I was like, I've been wanting to see that for a long time,
right?
And it's like, what the fuck am I doing with it though? Like am I saving it? Am I looking out for my family? Or is this the cycle now, And I feel like, and I feel like, the more money you make, it's like the more you spend, bro. And it's, and that's another thing with being out of integrity. And I'm just like, there's just so much that's happened, especially just like, another thought that came into my head is, do I really want to be a trainer? Do I really want to be a trainer? Like, if I'm still doing this shit,
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Like
I'm laughing because like I felt the exact same fucking way.
For real?
But it like came from because I felt, when I did my basic, I had some moments where I was having a hard time being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I remember just asking myself, like, fuck, like, how am I supposed to be a trainer? Like, I can't even access my vulnerability right now. Like, I can't even, like, just all these different questions. And I think that it stemmed from the things I was out of integrity in. Like, you don't ask yourselves those questions when, like, it's always like, all right, next day, let's get it. Next day, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think the shame is where it's like, even though I'll say me, even though I felt so much better sober for like, because even though I felt so much better sober, I was still deciding to smoke. And it was like, okay, what's going on here? But then I would be sober the next day and I would still be at the same, I wouldn't feel down. So then I'd be like, oh. It's not. Right? And then, but then I start thinking, I'm like, yo, like, what am I really doing right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't know. I've gotten to the point where now that I live by myself, I'm like spending so much time alone, or in the last like few days, like 4 or 5 days, where it's like, I'm really consistently, it's like not even, I don't think it's a great thing most of the time, but just like really paying attention. Mm-hmm. And like, I really do feel like, I started to picture myself as somebody who had it all figured out, or I should have it figured out. Mm. That's what I would tell myself. Like, I put in so much work. I should have it figured out. There's no excuse.
I relate so much with that.
Right? And it's like, but then I had those moments where I'm like, but that, bruh, like, that's literally it's just, that's literally the process. I feel like, it's still the process. Like, yeah, we could have made better choice at that time. But the trick, I think, is we can't get caught up in that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's so easy, especially I'll get caught up in the fact that I did this or I did that, or I didn't do this when I said I was going to do it. And I'm like, fuck, like, I might as well be in basic.
Oh my god! Yeah. And here's the thing. Here's the thing too, man. That now that you said that, right? It's like catching yourself. Now, you know how crazy addiction is, man. You know what I mean? Well, I don't know if you do, right? I know how crazy addiction is. Mm-hmm. And just with that, sometimes there is no pulling yourself out unless you ask for support.
That's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Unless I ask for support. Let me speak about myself here. And this is a perfect transition into asking for support.
Yeah.
Asking for support. Because, man, so in my experience, whenever I go on rampage of this cycle of self-abuse for weeks on end, right? I tend to shrink myself And dude, you know how powerful I am, man.
Yeah.
You know how powerful I am. You know my outreach. You know my community service.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you know me, bro.
Yeah.
You know me.
Yeah.
And it's like, in those moments of time when I'm out of congruency and I'm out of integrity, what does that do to the human psyche? Because in that moment of time, I'm thinking of myself as such a small person that I can't do outreach and I can't do community service and I can't make all of the days at the gym that I used to. And it's only for 3 weeks. You know?
Yeah.
Like it was like a whole year and a half. Every day I've been working out.
Yeah.
3 weeks made me think that small of myself.
Yeah.
You see? However, that's the name of the game, though, man. That's the name of the game, and like in the past 5 weeks, 3 on Rampage and 2 just speaking to myself about even if I'm worthy of any of this.
Yeah.
You see, I pretty much shot myself in the foot, bro. You know, and it's one of those things that like this is. You know, you being on this show right now, this is me asking for support to kick my ass back into shape here. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. This is literally it, because I don't know if I had the willpower or the strength to stop that cycle and to get back with these episodes and get back with my outreach, and I didn't know if I had the willpower, bro. So thank you, man.
Of course.
And
yeah. No, like I feel that too, because it's like there's almost like a if I'm just being like, this is just in my experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's almost like a I look at the battle. I don't want to call it a battle. Mm-hmm. But I look at the situation like so differently now that I deal with it better. But it's like this constant fear of like losing everything that I've gained. Right? Like just being like, and it's crazy because I've been listening to music a lot lately, and I hadn't been listening to music for a long time. I was listening to this Kendrick song, and he was like, I think it was Fear he was talking about. Great song, by the way. And he was just talking about how when he blew up on his album and he was making all this money and boom, boom, and he had all this money, and he was still scared to buy like a new car or buy a home or boom, boom. Like when he was touring, he would just stay in hotels and like living like somebody who's making way less than he was making. And it's like that fear of like losing everything, I think for me is the start, because it's like that fear of like something happening or boom, boom, like going back to the past. And now I'm thinking about it so much that I'm almost trying to live it. If that makes sense. Like I said, I start to think about it so much, it's almost like boom, right? So okay, so
yeah.
So really, I'm a person where growing up, I just knew something bad was gonna happen. Like, I just knew it. You know what I mean? So it was like, whether we got a new place or whatever, I knew we weren't going to stay there long. I knew it was going to be like 5-6 months. So it probably wasn't no point making friends. It probably wasn't no point in nothing like that. And like over time, and I knew if my mom had a boyfriend or whatever, there was going to be some big ass fight that was going to happen at some point. And it always used to happen like almost on cue. Somebody breaking the house or whatever. And I took that into my adulthood, and now it's like I created all these things. So now the random incident that I can't control or see coming is in the back of my mind.
Oh wow.
So like I try to jump. When I was a kid, I used to try to jump in front of it to lessen the blow. You know, I would try to be like, it's gonna happen today. So I might as well like just stay in my room or just go outside and, you know, boom, boom. So now the way it looks now is I might just not shoot that third video today. And now, instead of the, you know, the inconsistency popping up on me out of nowhere, at least I'm like almost creating it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So I kind of saw it coming. So I can say I saw it coming, so it don't hurt as much.
Oh wow, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of nasty.
That's wild, yeah.
But
so you're creating it. You're creating the incongruency, out of integrity.
Yes.
It's not just something that happens. It's you're creating it
in order to be able to say I saw it coming. Ooh. So it doesn't hurt as much, because it hurts more when you don't see it coming.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? When it's random, that's when it hurts the most. So if you can at least being able to say I saw it coming, it lessens the blow. And I think that's the thing that happens in the back of my mind. But now I'm just like, now that I can see and understand those type of things, it's like, okay, at least I'm aware that if I don't want that to happen, it's my choice.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing that I walk around with, even when I do make a mistake or I do mess up. It's like, I can make that every single day is it really feels that way, that every single day is a new slate. You know what I mean? If I want it today, to get it today.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
that's powerful, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, just one thing I wanted to just add on to what you were saying, you know, just softening the blow. You know, they have a saying in boxing, right? The ones that, the punches that you don't see are the ones that knock you out.
Right.
Right. However, now walking into a boxing match, knowing that you're going to get hit.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's more of the having the tools in order to navigate how, you know, if you're gonna parry, if you're gonna slide a punch, if you know what I mean. So just wanted to add that on to there. That was powerful though, man. Like, thank you for sharing that, man.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever actually, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud. Like, that's something I've known, but there's a lot of things I know that just stay in my head and I just kind of navigate them in my mind. But like, yeah, to say that out loud was like, that's the, you know, I just think about certain things. I'm like, man, like for me to think that way, there had to be like a wicked ass path to get to that point. Like things that I've seen, things that I've experienced, and just being like, you know, if I saw things differently, I wouldn't think that way. So to just, you know, give myself a little hug, and just be like, another day is tomorrow. Like that's why we created things. Like that's why you created what you created now. You know, imagine if you were going through these things and you didn't have the foundation and the backbone to be able to make those mistakes. You know what I mean? Like that's what you've created. You created the foundation to every mistake is a little softer now. Yeah. You know what I mean? It hits it's a little, you know what I mean? So being proud of ourselves for that type of shit.
Thank you for that, man.
You know?
And you know, that's a big thing too, just for my mission statement for the world is having the courage to let go of the perfectionist in order to start taking risks in your life by first taking risks in mine. So that's, I mean, it's a testimony to that. And I think, and in my experience, I think we hit this topic on the.
Where do you think the lack of asking support comes from, though, for you?
Actually, yeah, that's a good question, man. I mean, I think it came from just having a Caribbean household and Caribbean family, that they're always bickering and at war with each other. That like it always was a money game with everyone. Who made more money? Who made more money? Who had more assets? Who made more? You know, just like who was doing well off, and the people that have done really well for themselves, like the rest of the family, like they've just like siloed them into their own realm. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So it's just kind of one of those things too that it was like I know that I'm doing good. I know that I'm doing good. I'm blessed, bro. I'm blessed, and it's just that where like not asking for support came from is just I think it was just because of that, right? Like just being raised in a Caribbean family that they're in competition with each other all the time. So asking anybody for support was just a big no-no. You know, and like you had to get it by yourself. Period.
Right.
And I did do that, bro. I did that. I got everything by myself. You know, and honestly, with support from like my mom and my dad. However, but like outside of that, bro, nothing. You know, and it's just one of those things where like that's where my dilemma with asking for support comes from. Like I can't even ask Cynthia for a lot of support, and when I do, like it breaks me in half when I have to or when I get to. See? However, when it comes to fundraisers, I don't mind letting go of looking good because I know it's for a cause that's not for me, right? Yeah. However, if it's like for me and I'm raising money for for like the training for trainers program, or if I'm raising money for something, you know what I mean? Or, you know, like it's almost that like I'm not enrolled into myself enough to ask for support either too, you know?
Yeah.
So it's but I think the biggest thing, because that's two different things there, but I think the biggest thing was just my you know, a kid being raised in a Caribbean household, man.
Right.
And just a Caribbean family.
Damn.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking like, as you know, I mean, that's something for me too. I mean, asking for support and in general is like, and I think it's because I think it's the same thing, you know, just the way I grew up, like, you know, my family, like, we, you know, that's how it is. Like my family's it's ironic because we're not super close. And you know, there was death in the family that I think caused that, you know, because it was different before. But like now it's like, it's still so like the last name thing, you know, the tribal aspect to it of like, there's pride behind the last name. Like we operate in those ways regardless of like who we really are.
Yeah.
I think growing up, that was something that I always battled with, you know. It made me feel like a black sheep, you know, because I felt like even as a kid, like things that made sense to me never made sense to them.
I see.
You know what I mean? And it was like, over time, I started to think that I just didn't make any sense. So I started to really be like them, you know, not saying there's something wrong with them, but the whole, like, we get it by ourselves. We don't ask anybody for anything. Like you know, Abernathy's don't do this. Abernathy's don't do this. Abernathy's do that. Like that was something I heard from, you know, the men in my family a lot.
I see.
So like those type of things do show up. And I remember I had got evicted out of that one place with the homies or whatever. And I didn't tell my family. And if I didn't have my module that day, I probably wouldn't have told anybody. Oh, wow. The more I think about it, I probably wouldn't have told anybody. I probably would have took that on the chin, like, and try to figure it out, you know? But like I remember getting on the phone with my uncle, right? And he was like, hey man, he was like, because I think he knew, but he didn't want to tell me he knew.
Yeah.
He knew, but he didn't want to tell me he knew.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, man, that place that you in, boom, boom. He's like, yeah, man, like you got that on your own. You know what I'm saying? You got that figured out. And I know, like, if you get in the situation, you're going to figure it out. You know what I mean? So I respect that you didn't ask for nothing. I respect that you not calling me, and it was reinforcing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sitting here hearing it, and like the little boy in me is like
screaming.
Right? The little boy in me is like, it's like two different little boys almost. It's like the little boy in me that wanted to be Abernathy, and then the little boy in me that was me. You know what I mean? I feel like I heard a lot of conversation in that. Like, I felt so good to hear that from him. It felt really good. But then on the other side of it, it was like, but that's not the way though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's not the way. Like, asking for support when it's necessary is like, it's not going to be hard. It's not going to be a struggle where you're destroying yourself or others in the process of not asking for support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's
that's
planted
real,
in me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's real, man.
Yeah. But I think it just, even at this phase, like, yeah, it's hard to do. And I think that my spiral probably did start from the lack of asking for support. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have a bunch of stuff in my house, but I knew I needed support to go grab the stuff, but I didn't want to ask somebody to do it. You know what I mean? So it was like me trying to do little shit at a time and then fucking up and boom, boom. And now I'm in my head about it when really all I had to do was ask.
Yeah. Do you see like how like that shrunk you? How that shrunk you?
Exactly.
To the point where you like totally put on horse blinders and you know, you didn't even like realize the network that you have.
Nope.
You know, and like you were trying to cover it up in a sense. Yeah. You're trying to cover it up and do small shit at a time just to stay on the radar. Yeah. Do you see that though? Yeah. Do you see how like that? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful,
so much harder. Like,
yeah.
There's so many. I gotta take this TV back all the way to Glendale because I didn't want to ask the homie that had a truck to like put it in his truck. I tried to put it in my small ass car. And end up breaking it. So now I gotta go all the way back to Glendale to get this TV returned. Yeah. And it's like, bro, I could have had it all set up. And even that little situation had me thinking like, damn, like, look what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
Yeah, and you know the thing is like making things so much harder on yourself, you know. I just want to say there's one last thing before we get into a recap is just like, you know, it's especially like with addiction, bro. Like addiction, like just relapse, right? Like relapse is not you breaking your word to other people, right? That hurts the most in that situation. It's you breaking your word to yourself that just absolutely annihilates you, man. And, you know, like that's, like you just mentioned a recent occurrence that just happened. And like my relapse with alcohol, you know, 5 weeks ago, that happened. And, you know, I could have made this so much more easier getting back on these episodes, getting back into committed action inside the gym, detoxing, so on and so forth, just by asking for support. However, I'm just here sitting in my head for an initial 2 weeks after the 3-week rampage, you know, just asking myself, am I a good dad? Am I saving enough? Am I am I getting fat? You know, like I came back fucking 17 pounds. Like what the fuck happened? You know, and it's, you know, so instead of just interrupting those 2 weeks of just beating myself up, and making life so difficult, the endless arguments that me and Cynthia had, just all of this shit, you know, like this could have been done right here. Maybe even 2 weeks ago, you and I sitting here. You know, there's been a lot of rescheduling between you and I. Yeah. There's been a lot of rescheduling, but this could have been done 2 weeks ago. You know what I mean? And like, I would have been back on track already. Like, this is you being in support, you know, to me right now, you know, and I asked you to be here, so like, this is literally getting me back on track here. Not only with the episode, but my congruency with my health goals, you with my money goals, so on and so forth too, so I just wanted to say thank you, and, being there as as not only a friend, but I consider you like family too, to where you're there, and you're, when you're there, and, you could just, I feel like you could have sensed it in my voice that, like, bro, I'm going through some shit right now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, can we reschedule? Yeah. And then when I was like, being an urgency, today and yesterday about, making the episode happen, just, like, man, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I just want to say thank you. Yeah, man. I just want to say thank you. Just the way that you called to step forward. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've had other people scheduled for this week, and they weren't able to make it, but it's just one. And things happen. However, just with that right there, as far as asking for support, like I consider this huge, because it's not just with the episodes, it's getting me back on track with everything else, man. Right,
yeah. Some should be like that.
Yeah.
But no, I feel that, like, it's really, I think it's once again just, this is the real, I think what really helps me, genuinely, I think it's the first time I can say this in my life, where I do make mistakes and stuff like that, but I look at the negative feelings so separate from me. Okay. I can really say that. Like, that at the end of the day, this is all, like, why we're here. Like, the human experience. Like, that drives me so much. Like, every day, like, to even talk to you about this and, like, hear what you're saying and what your personal experience was. It's just like, this is the type of thing that keeps me going. It's like we're all here almost documenting what it is to be here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, our everything that we go through is another badge, another decoration on us as people. You know what I mean? And it's like, we just get to make sure that, we want it, because it's going to be ups and downs, but like that we are enjoying it in the process, and really taking the time to reflect and just look at it as like it's a collection of experiences. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And the end goal is up to us. The end spot and the in between is up to us. Absolutely. But yeah, it's all, we're good. Mm-hmm. And it's a part of being here. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I was just about to touch up on that too with the recap, man. Yeah. Man, today's topic discussion was heavy, man. It's super heavy, It was amazing. Again, man, like, this is all free form, bro. Like, this is no scripted nothing, man. But this is amazing, man. So thank you for your openness with this, Yeah. Now let's jump into our recap here. Right. Okay. Now, in my experience with being out of integrity is in my experience, being out of integrity is doing something that does not align for a consistent period of time. Okay? Like you could drink for one night and be good the next day, right? But if you're doing it for a whole fucking 3 weeks straight, that's not cool, bro. That's not cool. You see? So, like, that's what that's about, right? And the big thing here for my audience, for you guys to think about, is the recap with being out of integrity is, have you been in consistency with something that for so long, the vision that you've been building and creating for yourself for an extended period of time, for just an event or a sequence of events, or just these negative thoughts, and to be able to influence your behavior, occurs. And when that occurs, what happens?
you start falling within this downward spiral, and it takes so much effort and action and discipline to bounce back. However, there's so much obstacles and trouble finding that break point to finally bounce back. And then that's what being out of integrity is for me, right? Is getting to a point within the downward spiral that it's now become a consistent habit of negativity to where you're trying to where you're having trouble bouncing back into integrity. Yeah, and what that causes is point number 2, which is asking for support. And point number 2 is asking for support. However, what being out of integrity causes is the resistance to ask for support. And this is to my audience, where the recap on asking for support is, what does being out of integrity cause regarding your thoughts, and what is it making you believe about yourself that you are unable to ask for support? Now, not everybody's as strong as my buddy Jessahn here, okay, where he can pull himself out of situations. I'm telling you, if he was out here with me right now, it'd probably be another week. I'm just kidding. But that's what I'm saying, though, right? That's what I'm saying, is that having what are the thoughts that, or what's the picture that you painted about yourself once you were out of integrity? What's the picture that you painted about yourself? Okay, and who do you get to ask for support? Who do you get to ask for support? Because that one area in life that you ask yourself or ask somebody else for support, within whether it be health or finances or vision, right, doing these episodes, it's going to show in every other area of your life too. Just asking for support in one area, it will reflect in literally every other area, because how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the big thing about asking for support. Like, did you make yourself small to where you couldn't ask anybody because you were trying to hide something, or were you trying to just keep it under the radar? Or that's where I'm going with that. Did you make yourself small in order for you to really forget who your network that loves you and trusts you is? Have you been playing lone wolf? That's my recap for being out of. Oh, and also, so one last thing. It's all part of the human experience. This is all part of the human experience. It is totally valid to experience anger. Okay? However, it's not okay to throw a tantrum. Okay? It is totally okay and totally valid to experience sadness. However, it is not okay to bleed onto other people. It is okay it's okay and it's valid to feel pain. However, alcoholism is not okay. See, when the thoughts become behaviors, that's when we get to keep ourselves in check or ask for support.
Yeah. And you know what? I'm going to say my recap for ask for support first.
Sure.
Because it just made me think about somebody that kind of woke me up to this. It was Ruby, right? And there was a night where I went to the park to go write like lyrics and shit. And I remember getting back in my car and feeling kind of tired. Even though I lived like a couple minutes up the street, I was like, I'm just going to go to sleep. And sleep in my car.
Yeah.
Didn't really think much of it, right? I go back, I get on the phone, Ruby, I'm like, I just left my car, like just cause, boom, boom. And she was like, what do you think that is? And I was like, I don't know, gave this whole thing, right? And she was like, oh, like, you don't think that, or she was like, I can tell you what I think it is. I think that one, maybe you're trying to experience what it's like to be in that position. Because we had come across somebody who'd be in that position that I connected with. And I remember thinking like, that connects to something that Lily had told me at Basic, where she said that other people's emotions are theirs, they're not yours. And I think for most of my life, I've taken on other experiences and I've held on to them as if they're mine. And then I started thinking earlier today on the way here, actually. Yeah. I was like, wait, I've actually done that with the world. Like in my mind is like this whole world, right? That I can see. And every time something happens, like even if I didn't see it, like somebody's struggling, somebody's dying, somebody's being this, somebody's being that. And I take all of that. And it made me realize like the asking for support. Yeah. If I would have I think what led me to going to sleep at the park that night was the fact that, my home didn't really feel like a home yet. Oh, wow. And that's why I kept going back to a friend's house and then going back to the car and going back and really all I had to do, it triggered the next day, me asking for support to get my stuff out of the storage and bring it into my house. And since then, I've been, I got my bed in there now. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got some more of my stuff. That led me to going grocery shopping. And then that led to me to, making food in the morning. And then now I want to really make all my, you know what I'm saying? It's that little like experience of like not recognizing the downward spiral and then telling somebody, having a conversation and telling them, even if I didn't tell them with the intention, and then being woken up like, oh shit. Yes. I got to ask for support. And now I like to be at home. Beautiful, bro. And right there. Right there, bro. I say that to say sometimes the experiences we have are really, I think you're either being shown something to you that doesn't work for you anymore, or you're aligned with where you're going. Like that's like the two places you're always in. And if I look at it from that perspective, then I will ask for support, Yeah. If that makes sense. So. Of course. Yeah. Of course. And my recap with incongruency or being out of integrity. Yeah. And I'm coming back to Lily and Live for You because after my PhD, I didn't have nowhere to go after my module. I didn't have nowhere to go, so I was going to all my old homies' places. Not my old homies, they still my homies, but just like people who haven't been through the process and people I've been cool with through when I was going through, and I still am at times, but just like when I was deep in my bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I grew up with these people, like some of these people. And I remember them saying like, you get to be around PhD members. And you get to stay at PhD members' homes. You get to boom, boom. I just remember like it being so hard and like to ask for that. You know what I'm saying? And I would be like, I think it's because the ask is for support, but really what it was like the incongruency of having the boundaries to say like the incongruency of being aligned with my vision. Which if I would have placed boundaries on how many times I'm going over to this person's house. I see. When I know that every time I pull up, everybody's smoking weed. Yeah. Every time I pull up, everybody's having a judgmental or negative conversation.
Yeah.
Every time I pull up, boom, 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 right?
Mm-hmm.
And I be saying this to the homies, so I ain't back something like that. But I ain't back something like that. But like, just, you know what I'm saying? Like, just, and then I wonder, like, why am I smoking every day now, or every other day? And it's like, bro, the first step was stepping out of alignment with your vision.
Yeah.
Instead of being around, you know, the people that you just went through the process with, and you guys are all in the same alignment, all going in the same direction, you decide to go backwards and try to, you know, and there's nothing wrong with hanging out with your people, but like, I was there every day for hours at a time.
I see. So
I'm really indulging in it.
Yeah.
And that was the first step to all of the habits, like eating out every day and fucking and smoking, saying that I picked up. You mean, from being out of congruency with saying, I'm being out of integrity by saying, like, yeah, I'm gonna go to a PhD member's house and I'm gonna make the uncomfortable decision. I didn't make the uncomfortable decision, I made the comfortable decision. And that actually was the starting point for the battle that got created out of that. You know what I mean? So that's what incongruency creates. You know, and the result is still great, but how I'm feeling throughout is you know, creating unnecessary battles and making it harder. Yeah, you got to stay on it all the time. You don't get to take a break from being in alignment. You might be able to rest, yes, but you don't get to take breaks from being in alignment. You don't get to be out of alignment for a day or two, and think that you're gonna still be able to, like, nah. Yeah, you know, so you know, it's and that's powerful, man, because, you know, it's like they say in boxing too, you know, and this is when I had a clean 8-pack, you know, in my teenage years, you know, like I take literally 2 days off, you know, 2 days off after going to the boxing gym every day for a year. I take 2 days off, and it's like you're crawling again. You're in there sparring and shit. You get fucked up, bro. You know, it is crazy. But like, that relates so well, right? Like, when you're consistent for so long, and then from there, like, you know, there's such thing as rest. But like, within those 2 days, I would go party or something like that. You know what I mean? Within those 2 days. So that was me being out of alignment with the vision that I wanted to create. Right. Yeah. So when I came back, it was like I was crawling again, bro. But so there is a difference in between rest and veering off. Yeah. Yeah. Way different. It's huge. I think, at least in my experience, there are times where I try to say, I'm like, oh, it's rest. But really, it's just being out of alignment. Yep. It's like really just choosing to be out of alignment. Like, oh no, I'm just taking a break. I've been doing so good. Yeah. And like, okay, that could be like many things. I could be sitting down and reading a book. Like, I should have been. I've been supposed to be reading this book for like the last month and a half. I haven't seen a single page. And it's like, I wonder how many decisions I wouldn't have made if I would have sat down and read that book instead. Yeah. Yeah. Like, so it's. Yeah. Well, guys, that's our recap. Okay, we're gonna get into where you can follow us. Okay. Well, you guys already know me. Okay, Brandon. However, the pages are The Age of the Comeback on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify Podcasts, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on TikTok. Most of my content is on TikTok, okay? The Age of the Comeback. Shoot me a follow and like and comment on all of my videos, damn it. And if you haven't followed me as yet, I don't know why you haven't. Okay? No excuses, damn it. Yeah. And Jessahn? And you can find me on all platforms. You know, I make music too, so you can find me on all platforms, Jalopy Bungus. On YouTube, just search Jalopy Bungus. A bunch of stuff is going to come up. My TikToks, Jalopy Bungus and Jalopy Bungus Music. And then Instagram is Sir Bungus. Twitter is Sir Bungus. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everything, Jessahn. You're the man, dude.
Thank you too.
And with that being said, this is the age of the comeback.
Yeah.
I'll see you guys next time. Okay, recording started. 6, all right. Okay, so let's take some time to breathe for a sec.
Yep.
Sit back. Deep breath in. Hold it. Exhale.
It's goody.
Deep breath in. Exhale. Shake it out. All right, last deep breath in. Breathe in life and exhale everything that does not serve you, all right? 1, 2, and 3. With a sigh. Okay. All right, buddy. You ready?
Yeah.
Woo! Let's do it. All right, 1, 2, and 3. Now this episode is for, are you an individual that has been so congruent and so So, alright, so rewind there. Who is this episode for? Oh, you gotta leave that little pause because you gotta cut it.
Right.
Gotta cut it, but that's the episode, bro.
That was good as hell.
Yeah. 1 hour, 2 minutes. Perfect. Right on the dot.
Yeah. That was fire.